What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back. Well, I am back for now, guys. If you guys are starting to log on and join, Justin will hopefully be here later. We'll see. It depends on his schedule. He's weighing in right now for a fight tomorrow for Tough Enough, which is a promotion-based. Well, they kind of do shows all over the place, but the majority of their shows are in Vegas. So Justin's going to be on that card tomorrow, if you guys want to check out his fight. But I'm going to start the show off. What's up, Tehran? Welcome to the show. But anyways, I'm going to start the show myself because there is a lot to talk about today, a ton to talk about, because we're on the heels of UFC 321, which is a majorly important card. And you guys might say, what are you talking about? This is not that important of a card. It's relatively lackluster. People aren't that excited about it. Well, I'm going to explain everything today as we break down and talk about the main event. Now, of course, I was hoping Justin could join so we could get some more technical breakdowns of the main event and the dynamic between these two fighters, but we can chat about it. And by the way, Tehran, other guys, if you're listening today and you want to chime in and share your thoughts in terms of this matchup, I'd love to hear it, because I'm picking Gan. I'm like the only person on. I think there's one other person on James Lynch's channel who picks Cyril Gane to beat Tom Aspinall. I'm picking Cyril Gane. I'm sticking with that pick. I feel like Cyril Gane is being so overlooked. I do think if you look at it from a purely objective standpoint, that Tom Aspinall seems to have more tools, so the fight should favor him. But I just got a feeling that Cyril Gane's going to pull something off. Oh, Tehran's picking Gane. Let's go. I feel like he's going to pull something off. I feel like people don't remember that he had a broken foot when he fought Volkov recently. He did great against Francis Ngannou. Granted, Francis had some injuries, but still, he did great against Francis Ngannou. And I think the John Jones thing is being overblown. Yeah, he got beat by John Jones. I think there was a lot of pressure on him. I think there's a number of things that could explain that. But Cyril Gane is fantastic. If you guys remember, when he first came onto the scene, people were going nuts about him. They were saying that Cyril Gane here. We'll actually jump to this topic, and then we'll go back to topic one afterwards. If you remember when Cyril Gane came onto the scene in the UFC, everybody was talking about what a phenom he was, what an amazing kickboxer, the way that he moved, the way that he threw strikes. It was unmatched. Now, I know folks are saying that Aspinall is going to be faster than Cyril Gane. That seems to be the consensus. That may be, but it's still going to be the fastest guy that Tom Aspinall has ever faced by a long shot. It's going to be a totally different matchup. So how's it all going to play together again? I don't know. And it's heavyweight. So anything can happen. And I really do think this fight is way more of a coin flip than people are acknowledging. And so I'm going to flip it with Gane. Not to mention, I did put a little money on Gane with phenomenal odds. But I'd love to hear other people's thoughts as well about this matchup and this breakdown. Now, there's a ton of unknowns. Unfortunately, with Justin's breakdown, he didn't get to watch a ton of tape on these two fighters. But there is not exactly... Tehran, exactly. Gane is a better striker than Tom Aspinall. I've heard some people give Tom the striking advantage. Dude, Gane is a better striker. He's a kickboxer. Okay, yes. Does Tom Aspinall have the advantage on the grappling? I'm sure he does. But I also think Cyril Gane's been working on his ground game. He's said as much. I believe him. I think he is doing his due diligence. He's taking his time to put in the work and improve there. So I'm very curious to see how he does on the ground if Tom tries to take the fight there. But I think Gane's style, I have a feeling that it's going to really bode well for him in this fight. Because, Tehran, tell me if you agree or disagree. Gane plays it safe. He's not overextending. He's not throwing a ton of velocity into his shots. It's more like I won't say like tippy tap. That's probably an exaggeration. He's definitely throwing strikes with power and snap, especially with his kicks, but he's not going all out. So that doesn't open him up to these potential possibilities of getting an easy, quick takedown or making himself opened up to a heavy shot that could knock him out. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to go beyond the first round for sure. And I don't know, because I'm not saying that I have a great reason to say that Gane will win. I'm saying this is a bit of it's a much closer fight than people are acknowledging. And if it is somewhat of a coin flip, I'm gonna flip it with Gane. That's where my bet is. That's who I'm picking. I'm gonna probably be the only person online that's picking Cyril Gane. So we shall see. But anyways, this is Gane is a patient of wolf standing. What's that? Wolf standing. I never heard that term before, but I agree. It's a patient approach that Gane uses on his feet. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by wolf standing. If you could expound on that, explain that a little bit. I'd love to know what that means. But anyways, I'm very excited. Now, why do I say that this fight is so important? And why do I want Gane to win? Because of course, oh, he's a patient wolf standing. Is a patient wolf. Oh, I understand what you're saying now. Okay. He's like a patient wolf just standing there. So why is this fight so important? I made a video about it. I don't know if you guys saw it. It didn't get a ton of views, so I'm assuming most people didn't see it. But here's the thing, okay? Think about what's going to happen if Tom Aspinall wins the fight. You know, whatever. It's cool. Tom Aspinall will be the heavyweight champ. He'll retain the belt. He's got a fan base. People are excited about him. But there's a couple of things. So who's he going to fight next? Is it going to be Alex Pereira is going to move up and fight him? I don't know if he will, because Alex Pereira wants to fight John Jones. He doesn't seem to be interested in fighting Tom Aspinall. And I think it makes sense. Tom Aspinall is not a big enough name yet. You can say what you want about his potential, but he hasn't achieved what John Jones has achieved. Not even close. Not even close. So I don't think that fight is that as intriguing for Alex Pereira. So who would Tom Aspinall fight next? Maybe probably the winner of Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. Or there is a chance that John Jones will come back and fight Tom Aspinall, but I don't think he will. I don't think he wants to anymore. And okay, Tehran, so you think it's better if Tom wins. So I'm going to hear me out and then tell me if I've changed your mind. So you might say it's better for the division, but think about just from the fan perspective, who is Tom going to fight next? If he wins, I don't think Jones is going to take that fight. I think Jones is going to come back. And now if he fights Jones, that's dope. Finally, it's going to happen at the White House. That'll be a big fight. But if he doesn't fight, if Jones doesn't want to fight Aspinall, then Aspinall is going to fight Volkov or Jailton Almeida. I don't think people are going to be excited about either of those. It's a rematch against Volkov. Jailton Almeida does not have a big fan base. He's not that exciting. So we're going to be stuck with one of these two fights. And then what's Alex Pereira going to do? Is he even going to move up? He might still move up, fight John Jones, but it's kind of a weird fight because we'll be wanting to say this is a super fight, but then it's like Tom Aspinall's out there waiting in the wings. Everybody, he's the heavyweight champ. Why is nobody fighting the heavyweight champ, but they're moving up and fighting at heavyweight? Like, it's going to feel weird. Instead, okay, now see how beautifully this will work out. If Cyril Gane wins, okay, he's going to beat Tom Aspinall. All of the hype, and again, I'm a fan of Tom Aspinall, so I'm not saying I wish the negative thing upon him, but if Tom Aspinall loses, what's going to happen is all of the talk, the negative talk against John Jones, basically saying, oh, he's ducking Tom Aspinall, he's not good enough, he knows Tom Aspinall will beat him, it's going to disintegrate like that, okay? Why is that a good thing in terms of the White House card and next potential fights? Because by Tom Aspinall losing to Cyril Gane, where Cyril Gane got beaten very easily by John Jones, it's going to create the notion in our minds, regardless of whether or not it's true, that John Jones would have beaten Tom Aspinall. It's going to flip the momentum instantaneously. So what is that? So, and yes, I know John Jones. I see Tehran, you're saying John Jones is going to laugh. It's not even about that. It's about this, okay? So that will flip it instantly. Then what's going to happen? Tom Aspinall will be taken out of the conversation. Then we have Cyril Gane as heavyweight champ. So now we have a chance for, first of all, a fight between Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane will be interesting because they're both kickboxing backgrounds, great kickboxers. It'll be a great fight. But if Gane is on top and John Jones is waiting in the wings, it now makes perfect sense from a legitimacy standpoint for Pereira to want to fight Jones, because what the logic will be is like, yeah, I could go up and challenge for the heavyweight strap and become a triple champ. I could do that, and maybe he will still want to do that. Or he can say, yes, but that's kind of pointless because if I beat Gane, we already know John Jones beat Gane very easily. So if John Jones is still out there willing to come back, it's actually from a legacy standpoint, a prestige standpoint, makes more sense to fight John Jones because the heavyweight champ got schooled by John Jones. So even though John Jones is not the champ, let's have that fight, and we can call it potential GOAT versus potential GOAT. We have the ultimate super fight at the White House. They throw the BMF belt on it, or a GOAT belt or something else, or just make it the main event of all time, the U.S. belt, who knows, whatever it is. Have Alex Pereira versus John Jones, and the winner of that fight can walk away clean as the GOAT of the sport. Because now with Tom Aspinall out of the picture, confusing the legacy of John Jones, with him out of the picture, now we have this incredible opportunity to have a super fight that is, even though there's no belt on the line, will be fully legitimized by Tom Aspinall losing. That's my 2 cents. So, Tehran, let me know if I've changed your mind in terms of wanting Aspinall winning being better for the division. I think Gane winning is way better for the sport and the UFC as a whole. Yeah, it's kind of murky for the actual heavyweight division, but because it opens up this amazing super fight, I think it's so worth it. Okay, so It would be, yeah, so that's the comment there. The second biggest fight in the UFC could have made was Tom versus Francis, but yeah, I think Francis is really, I'm just thinking about the zeitgeist and what's going on in my mind. Really, Francis Ngannou is out of my mind. I'm not even thinking about him anymore. Maybe once upon a time that could have been great, but now I think Francis Ngannou has been inactive for a while. He lost that last boxing match. I know he won his MMA fight. I don't know what's coming up for him. I've heard he's doing another boxing match. Like, he's out of my mind in terms of MMA and the threat that he gives to anybody. So I'm not thinking, I'm past that. But yes, if Gane wins, we have a super fight. John Jones versus Alex Pereira. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's why I'm rooting for Cyril Gane. That's why I'm picking him from my heart a little bit. Okay, so that's that story, and that's that fight. Let me know if anybody else is picking Cyril Gane. I think I'm on an island by myself completely. I'll do a quick prediction video at some point just to throw it out there in the ether, but that's who I'm going with. All right, another big story is Conor McGregor. This is crazy. I got to pull up this clip because you guys will be blown away if you haven't seen this yet. Okay, hold on. You guys will be blown away because there's no question. He sounds so different. He sounds so composed. It's literally circa, I don't know, 2014, 15 in terms of the way he's talking. Listen to this, guys, if you haven't heard it. There is no doubt that Conor McGregor has sobered up and is now turning over a new leaf. Check this out.
For sure. I am not here just by chance. There is a higher power, God, that dictates my journey and all of our journeys. And I live my life by God's word. And since around that time that you mentioned at the last event, I've engaged on a spiritual journey. And I'm saved, I am healed. And, you know, on the back of that, the world is in for a treat. The world is in for a treat. My competitive spark that was once in my heart is now a roaring blaze. So I'm very excited. You know, I envy these men up here on this dais. They're right about to make weight, and they're to go in and enjoy and entertain and do what they were called to do, as am I called to do it. And, you know, I'm eager to get back. And right now I had to dial myself in and go inward. And that I done. And I'm very, very excited to come back my own self. For sure.
There's a lot that needs to be extracted and taken away from this clip. So, of course, he's saying things like he's ready, he wants it. He's been saying that before, though. But you can tell the way he's talking right now is through the lens of sobriety. It's so obvious to me. I remember, you know, everybody's talking about cocaine Conor and kind of making jokes and stuff like that. But you always wonder, is it really substances, or is he just amped up? Are there different things? I mean, there's a potential plausible deniability factor in the mix, right? He could just be amped up. I don't know, right? I mean, seemed pretty obvious that he was on something, but we don't know. Now you know for sure, because now if you look at him right now, look at his facial expressions, look at the calm that has come over him once again. He's not jittery. He's not running around making bizarre facial expressions. I think whatever substance he was abusing, it definitely seemed like stimulants, not downers, and maybe with the exception of alcohol. But the combination of all of that and how it affected him, it feels like it's completely gone from his body and from his mind. I mean, the clarity with which he's speaking right now, and it's not this forced sort of excitement level and crazy over the top statements and also things that are a bit nonsensical, the jittery movements, the walking back, it's all gone. And I think this is another huge move, because you never know when somebody's dealing with this type of thing. This could take somebody's life. This is a big deal. I know people make light of it all the time, but this is a big deal. And with all the people and support and money and financial, just power and sway that Conor has in the world, it's difficult for somebody like that, I believe. Now, I don't know this from personal experience, but I imagine it's got to be difficult for somebody like that to get off all the negative stuff unless they truly want to do it, because they have too much access. They have too many yes men. They have it's just very difficult, I think, because he's not facing a situation of being completely left out in the cold, and he's got to get his life together. Otherwise, he's going to face serious trouble in the short term. That's not his situation. So it's tough for somebody to come out of the darkness like this, but he's done it. And this is fantastic that he's been able to pull himself out. And I'm so excited for him, but also for us, because if he's really turned over a new leaf, which I'm gonna want to choose to believe him. This is going to be a long-lasting change. What we're going to see is we're going to see Conor re-enter a proper training camp, have serious conversations and discussions with the UFC. Not talking about 100 million, not talking about 100 golden visas. I don't know if that was under the influence of some substance, but I have to believe it is, because all those statements made no sense. Hopefully now we're going to see real discussions with the UFC, real progress being made, perhaps a real contract being signed with Michael Chandler. And I say that this is a huge positive movement for UFC fans, MMA fans alike, to see Conor McGregor return atop this stage and be a part of this card, whether he's the main event or co-main event, and the main event is Alex Pereira versus John Jones. Whatever it is, I'm excited to finally realistically have him back and have him being competing at a high level. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can pull off in the light of sobriety, with a good training camp and good people around him. I'm very curious to see what training footage now emerges as well from Conor McGregor. So Tehran says, I believe Conor until I see him in an octagon. Forget all the smack talk. Okay, so you'll believe it when you see it, is what you're saying. I gotta say though, dude, when's the last time we saw Conor sober? Honestly, I can't remember. I think it's been like 6 months. No, maybe I don't even know. I don't know, because if you look back at all his interviews now and contrast it with how he's behaving here, I don't know if I can even recall a time in the last year, maybe when he did the press conference about his broken toe, but it's been a long time since I feel like we truly seen him sober. So I think this is a big change. You know, the question is, will there be a relapse? Will he be able to stay sober long enough until we get this UFC White House card? I don't know. But I'm going to stay optimistic, and I'm going to say this is huge for the White House card in the sport of mixed martial arts and the UFC as a whole. So there we go. This is that next piece of news. We're going to move along. You know, I'm going to jump around a little bit because I think Justin may be joining at some point later in the show. But for now, we'll move along, and I want to talk about, I'm going to skip topic 3 for now. We can come back to that a little bit later. I want to talk about the Frankie Edgar situation, because I made a very long video on the channel about Frankie Edgar and him not getting paid. Actually, not even not getting paid, him getting pulled off the BKFC card at the last minute. So I want to give you guys a little background here and talk about it. I do encourage you guys to check out the video. Like I said, it's a 40-minute expose. I go into all the details, the back and forths of what Frankie Edgar said, what Dave Feldman said, as now it's come out that Dave Feldman basically said a bold-faced lie multiple times and tried to do a lot of shady stuff to Frankie Edgar. And I'm surprised that not more people are talking about this, but I'm going to give you guys the summary and the recap. And by the way, I'm going to be talking to some folks from BKFC, not on the show, but later today. And I'm going to try and get to the bottom of this, because I think this might be a pattern that is a recurring pattern in BKFC that nobody's talking about, and it's pretty bad. It does not bode well for their future. So the story is this. Frankie Edgar, if you listen to his side, and I believe 100% what he's saying, I don't think there's any lie in what he's saying. He was told by BKFC to submit to certain doctor appointments and submit all these, he had to see multiple neurologists, different things like that. He said from his own account that throughout this testing process, he saw a ton of doctors. And then on top of all the doctors and the physicians that he had to see, he was asked by BKFC to go to New York, even though the fight was in New Jersey and he was seeing all these specialists in New Jersey, to go to New York and see this particular doctor or that particular doctor, which he said never has happened before, and it made no sense. Then he also heard from the commission that all of these doctor reports that he had, doctor visits, the reports had never been submitted to the commission, which is weird. Then after he found out that none of these reports have been submitted to the commission, Feldman said that there may be an issue in terms of him being medically cleared to fight. But why? Why would there be an issue if the commission had not seen any of the reports? Then again, Dave Feldman tried to get him to see a specific. He's like, I want you to see this doctor. Frankie Edgar knew something was suspicious about this. He said, no, why should I see this guy's doctor? He's like, I think they're just trying to get me to see their doctor so their doctor can be basically leaned on to say, nah, he's not ready to fight for this, that, or the other reason. Create a medical excuse as to why the fight needs to be called, and then alleviate any contractual obligation to pay Frankie Edgar. At least this is what Frankie Edgar's side. Now, Dave Feldman himself on Ariel Helwani's show said, no, there might be a medical issue. We have to pull him off, whatever. Ariel Helwani goes on later to say that he heard through the grapevine that he's like, I don't think it's an injury. I think they didn't sell enough tickets. They couldn't make enough money to pay Frankie Edgar the 7-figure sum that they had promised him. And so they decided to cut him from the card. Now, this is a major, major deal. I know we don't have a lot of people listening right now, but I really do want to emphasize that this is a huge deal that's being completely swept under the rug, because what basically happened here, what they attempted to try to do was try and make it seem that Frankie Edgar could not fight because of a medical reason. And if it's a medical reason, they don't have to pay him anything. So they tried to get completely out from underneath this 7-figure, $1 million plus sum that they owed Frankie Edgar. That's fraud. They tried to lie. They tried to go against what all the other doctor reports said for Frankie Edgar, that he was cleared to fight, that he was good to go, that he was in great shape. They tried to get somebody to lie on their behalf to exploit a term in the contract that allowed them not to have to pay Frankie Edgar. And this is like medical. This is like akin to medical insurance fraud. You're trying to submit a fake claim, basically, to get money, to get a settlement. That's what they're trying to do, but in a different way. They're trying to use a fake medical claim to remove their obligation to have to pay out a contractually owed amount of money for this guy to go in and fight. Like, that's super messed up. I mean, think about it. If an insurance company had to pay out a claim, but then they're like, hey, but we want you to see our specialist, and they paid the specialist to be like, oh no, this guy, the cause of this injury or the cause of this surgery is something external. They lied on their behalf. Then the insurance company doesn't have to pay out the claim. That's crazy. That's insurance fraud. And this is akin to that. So I don't think that this is an isolated incident. I'm not going to go into why yet, because I need to do my due diligence. There's people that I need to speak to, but I have a suspicion that this is a repeating pattern with BKFC. And if they're engaging in this type of behavior on the regular, it's a big problem. It's a big red flag. And say what you will about the UFC, they're not doing this type of stuff. They're not trying to commit crimes and basically weasel out of their financial obligations. You could say they should be setting higher contractual payments for the fighters and this and that. That's one thing. And you can have a lot of fruitful debates on that topic, because we don't know their balance sheets. We don't know their expenses. We don't know a number of things in terms of what they're actually able to pay. And we don't know their long-term growth goals. We don't know where they're investing money in terms of trying to expand the sport and make it grow. Right? So that's a topic that is open to much debate, but at least in terms of what they have agreed upon, the UFC, people can count on them. If you sign on the dotted line, you're going to get your purse. If they need to pull your fight for some some reason, they're not going to try and pull it and blame a medical injury on you. They're not going to try and commit fraud. Okay. So this is a big deal, and I feel really bad for Frankie Edgar. Matthew says, Dave Feldman seemed like a good guy, but this is shady big time. This is so shady. And I was a fan of Dave Feldman too. I listened to his story. His story's crazy. He's betting on the company. He's doing big things. But this makes me look at him in a completely different light. I'll put it like this. After hearing about this story, even before I do any more due diligence, I would never invest in BKFC at this point. That's a big, big problem. This could open them up to major, major allegations and maybe even actual claims of fraud if they stick. I mean, what is that going to do to the business and the legitimacy of the entire company? Especially for fighters wanting to come and fight there. I don't know. So this is a very bad sign. I did not think Dave Feldman seemed shady before. I don't know. Dude, he went on Ariel's show and bold-faced lied. And the other point is this too. If they're going to go willing to do that, you know what that does to somebody like Frankie Edgar, who's already people didn't really want to see fight. They thought maybe he'd taken too much damage. Now, if that excuse would have stuck and Frankie Edgar would have been painted as this guy who has too many injuries to fight, what other that could affect his ability to get fights in other promotions. That is textbook defamation. They're affecting the perception of his character, his ability to fight. Now he can't get other fights. There's damages for that offense as well. So this is not just this is both defamation and potential, in my opinion, attempted fraud. This is what I believe. Okay. This is my opinion. Obviously no charges have been brought, but this is what it smells like. This is what it seems like to me. It's a big story. I'm very surprised more people are not talking about it. Yeah, Matthew is definitely not a good look. I agree 100%. Okay. So that's what I got to say about that. Now, we got a couple other stories. I'm still gonna save this topic on Umar Nurmagomedov because I want to hear Justin's take on it when he comes up. But the next topic I want to talk about today is who's next for Ilia Topuria. And for a long time, we've had rumors of Justin Gaethje. Now Patty's come out and sending a bunch of tweets saying he thought he was. I mean, dude, it's crazy. I don't know what's going on. I thought Justin Gaethje wouldn't even want to fight Patty, and maybe Patty's lying. Maybe he's capping. But he said that his plan was to fight Gaethje in November, but now Gaethje's choosing to sit out. And I don't know if that's true. Is he choosing to sit out, or is he just not fighting Patty because he's trying to get a fight against Ilia? I don't know. I don't know the truth. To me, Ilia versus Gaethje makes the most sense, because Gaethje's still got a huge fan base. He's still an amazing fighter. That's going to be a banger of a fight. You know, on Paramount, no matter what, that fight's going to be fireworks. I could say the same thing, though, about Ilia versus Patty, but you know that fight's going to be a banger. I feel like the UFC and most people believe that Ilia will win, so it's kind of like a gimme fight. It's a bonus fight for Ilia, another fight to further establish his legacy. And then the Patty fight's still there waiting in the wings. We'd have Patty slide in right afterwards and still have that massive super fight. But the other side of that is maybe the UFC said, nah, this Patty Ilia thing is so big and so magnetic and so incredible that we don't want to risk it. And we are going to slide Patty in for Ilia next. So it's one of these two options. I'm just waiting to see when this announcement's going to be made, because there's a lot of speculation that's going to be the first fight of the Paramount deal. Okay, wait, Tehran's got a question here. Thoughts on Danny Barlow? I actually don't know about this story. Hold on, let me look it up, because I know you mentioned this earlier in one of your comments. Let me see what happened to Danny Barlow. 4 days after UFC Vancouver split decision loss. So why? Who has competed both welterweight and middleweight? Here, let me share this story here. Let's read it and we'll talk about it. So, Tehran, you think it's probably going to be Patty? Yo, that's lit. That is lit if it's going to be Patty. But again, I love both of these fights, whichever one they make. Okay, hold on. We're going to go to this. So, who has competed both welterweight and middleweight has been removed. That means he has been released. So, why did he get released? Let's see. Earned his UFC ticket in emphatic fashion, knocking out, and he's on the Contender Series. Amazing. And then what happened here? So, he struggled to maintain that early momentum. Oh, he missed weight, and he got a win, but then suffered a knockout loss to Sam Peterson. Wait, what? So he got a decision win, then he got knocked out. Left-handed God, moved up to middleweight, dropping a split decision. Okay, so he got a split decision, then he got knocked out, then he won a split decision. Okay. All right, so that's the story. What do I think about Danny Barlow being released? And you said it's criminal. I mean, it doesn't sound like, look, he had a great... Would I call that criminal? I wouldn't call that criminal, and I'll tell you why. From what I'm reading, okay, it sounds he's 30. He had a great Contender Series win. Then he had a split decision. Then he had a loss. Then he had another split decision. And people weren't... It sounds like it was like a bit of a lackluster fight. I mean, if you're getting 2 split decisions and you're getting knocked out in the first 3 fights, I don't know what that says about his potential in the organization to really climb the ranks and be that successful. So do I think that's so crazy to cut Sam Barlow in this case, where, maybe his ceiling wouldn't be that high? Like, it's the UFC, they're a business. They've got Justin's on, so I'm going to add him to the show. It's a business. If they don't feel like he's got huge potential and they feel like maybe it makes more sense to cut him at this point from the promotion, I wouldn't call that criminal. Oh, by the way, we got a $10 donation. Let's go, gentlemen. This our channel's super underrated. Keep it the grind, guys.
It must have saw me jump on.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Right for Justin. Hey, thank you so much for that donation, guys. We can't tell you how much we appreciate the donations. I know they're coming in very occasionally right now on the channels. We're continuing to build momentum and get our viewer base up and all that stuff. But when you guys do give us donations, man, I can't tell you how much we appreciate that, because we know you don't need to do that. And we, like I said, gentlemen, we really appreciate it. But anyways, and I'd love to get Justin's thoughts on this as being in the UFC. But again, going back to this situation of Danny Barlow getting cut, this is what Tehran was asking about. Look, just to catch you up to speed, he got an amazing victory in the Contender Series. Then he won a lackluster split decision. Then he got knocked out. Then he recently won another split decision in the division. And then he was cut. Okay, so he won, and so Tehran's asking if I think this is criminal. My 2 cents is, look, if maybe if the UFC didn't think he had that much upside, maybe they don't think his fights are that awesome, and he's not basically making his way to the top. It's a business; like they can cut who they need to cut. I mean, what's your take on that?
You know, a lot of people talk to me about my career, and I always go back to my career because that's what I can talk most about or have the most experience about. Obviously, it's like, I think that I could have won a lot more fights in the UFC had I used my wrestling and used my grappling. I could have grinded out long decisions, but that's not what the UFC wants. The reason I got 5 chances in the UFC is because when I come out, I'm going for broke. I'm trying to knock motherfuckers out. I'm taking damage. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see guys winning split decisions over and over. Now, are there occasions to where, like, Charles Rosa had like 6 split decision wins throughout his UFC career? You know, sometimes they just like guys more than others. But when they see a guy coming in as a decision machine or a split decision machine, maybe they don't see him going for that, taking that risk and trying to get the finish, more playing it safe. I look at my buddy Cody Stamen, training partner for almost my whole career back in Michigan. I moved out here in Vegas. He came in shortly after. He just got cut from the UFC. And, I was talking about it with one of the coaches at the gym the other day. And it's like, man, Cody has a great record in the UFC, but I mean, I think he has 1 finish in his whole career. So the UFC frowns upon that stuff like that. Like, you guys got to go on your shield. You guys got to take risks. High risk, high reward.
And again, by the way, I'll say one other thing. I know, Tehran, you're saying I feel Barlow is way better than Dumas, who hasn't been cut. The other thing, too, is there's probably so many things that we're not aware of outside of the fights that could be happening behind the scenes. Maybe he is difficult to negotiate with his management team. I don't know. Maybe there's other reasons why he's just not.
It might not even be him it could be just his manager. People,
exactly.
If Sean or Mick don't like your man, the reason I got in, dude, I mean, I was with Monty Cox for a long time. Sean didn't care for him. I don't blame him either. I don't care for Monty Cox or Chaz Bowling either, but he's best friends with Jason House. So boom, there's my in.
Exactly. So, like, that's the thing. There could be multiple things at play here. I don't know what is it all at play, but I just want to throw that out there to give people context and say, yeah, like I could see a lot of potential reasons. So I wouldn't call this criminal. What I would call criminal. Now, here's where I would say it's criminal. When you look at the cutting of flyweight, Muhammad Mokaev, that to me, okay, and that even isn't criminal because the UFC can do whatever they want. If they really do feel like he was difficult to work with or he's saying negative things about the promotion that they didn't like, which is why I think he got cut, the UFC can do whatever they want. But why that one stings to me, and you tell me if you also feel this way, is because Muhammad Mokaev could be champ. I think he beats Pantoja. And I think I would bet a large sum of money that he would beat Pantoja. And I don't know if Justin agrees or disagrees. So that to me bothers me because I'm like, dude, this guy could be the champ, and he's such a good champ. He's so young. He could be like the next Mighty Mouse, and he's not. Like, I feel like I'm being robbed of that. So those are the types of things that bother me when somebody's cut.
I know you love Mokaev, but pump your brakes. Mighty Mouse is on a different level than I think anybody has ever been in the UFC. I mean, he's the most dynamic, exciting, athletic. What a guy, like, you talk about young fighters coming up, like, you got to emulate somebody, emulate Mighty Mouse, man. Just an incredible person in and out of the ring. And man, to even be in the same level, Henry Cejudo in his prime, I thought was, obviously he beat him. But DJ is just, it's man, I mean, I know how much love you have for Mokaev, and maybe with time he could have proven that, yeah, he was on that level, but at the point he got cut, I don't think he had done enough yet to be considered that good.
I get you. I think that he would have continued to grow and evolve.
I see what you mean. Sure.
Dude, he's only 27, I think, and he went out and competed in karate combat when his whole base is wrestling and grappling. So, like, he's he's training in Thailand for Muay Thai. Like, dude, we need Mokaev back. I'm gonna make another video about this. It's gonna get like 10 views. But we need Mokaev back in the UFC. It's so frustrating. He could make the flyweight division so awesome, like literally completely turn it upside down in terms of my interest level, in my opinion. But anyways, going off on a tangent here, Justin, I wanted you to come on here for 2 things in particular. So I already talked about these things, but I'm gonna go back to them. We're going back to Tom Aspinall, and I know you're picking Aspinall just like 99.99999% of people. And I just want to say this, and I'll turn over to you to just get your final thoughts on this fight. We already had a prediction video that dropped, but here's the thing. Do I think people are stupid for picking Tom Aspinall? Of course not. He seems like he has more weapons. But do I think Cyril Gane's the better striker? Yes. Do I think Cyril Gane was compromised against Volkov because he had a broken foot? Yes. So do I think the view of Gane is being tainted by his very quick loss to John Jones? Yes. Hold on, let me just finish and then I'm going to turn over to you. So I think it's being tainted. All I'm saying is I think Gane has a way better chance than people are giving him. So I'm thinking it's way closer to 50-50 than people are giving it credit for. I'm picking Gane from the heart because I want him to win. I think it'd be way better for the division. But anyways, that's my 2 cents just to give everything some color. Let me turn over to you and let me give you a chance to give your pick and to explain why.
Now, if you guys watched my prediction video, breakdown video yesterday, you mentioned the injury with Volkov. He fought Volkov twice. And was he injured both times? Because both times they went to decision.
Wait, let me double check. I didn't know that. I don't remember.
He had a decision loss or a decision win and then a split decision win. So we're talking, and Spivak as another common opponent. I think it was a decision win. Do I think Gane has great striking? Absolutely. But this is an MMA fight, not a kickboxing match. And Tom Aspinall is going to be able to mix his wrestling, because Gane doesn't want to get taken down, and I don't blame him. So I don't think he's going to be coming forward using his kickboxing to his best advantage. I think Tom Aspinall is going to dictate everything that happens in that fight.
Dude, I totally forgot that he fought Volkov back in 2021. Yeah, so he won that decision.
They have multiple or similar opponents, and Tom Aspinall's finished all of them, and Gane essentially went to decision with all of them. So it's hard for me to.
I totally get that.
Or Gane has that chance.
Okay, fine. Let's just pray. Let's just send good vibes. By the way, Justin had a weight cut today, guys. He's fighting tomorrow.
My eyes still look sucked in.
You look sucked in. Yeah, how are you feeling right now? He literally just weighed in and came straight to the show.
I haven't even showered yet, guys. Look, I'm still nasty straight. I see my eyes are all bloodshot. I'm so tired. I didn't sleep well last night. I was tossing and turning all night. I had an easy weight cut.
You had an easy weight cut?
Yeah, it was easy. I woke up 2 pounds over.
Whoa, that's great.
It worked out really well. My opponent looked in shape, ready to go. Real tough guy, vet of the sport, 16 wins, 8 losses. Marlon Gonzalez will be the first fight at 7 p.m. Pacific time on UFC Fight Pass.
Hey, I wonder if I had to fight you right now in a kickboxing match, if I could win because you're so dehydrated. Maybe. Okay, it says Rod says,
you have a better chance than Gane against Aspinall.
No, I don't. Don't say that. Gane's got a good chance. Dude, it's not like, okay, fine. In the worst case scenario, he might have like a 30. It's still heavyweight. It's like a 30% chance in the worst case scenario. It's still a good chance. Right?
I think he has a 15% chance.
Let me ask you this: who had a better chance, Gane versus Aspinall or DDP versus Hamzat?
Oof. Probably Gane.
Of course he does. People are acting, and in that fight, it's obviously people. It's retrospect, I guess, is 2020, but or hindsight is 2020. But in that fight, most people were picking DDP, and here nobody's picking. I mean, I think it's a lot of perception that's clouded people's judgment, in my opinion. But anyways, Tehran says, not really excited for this card, to be honest. This card I get it. Everybody feels that way. You have to look at it from a different perspective. If Gane wins, this could be so good for the UFC. The problem is nobody thinks Gane has a chance.
I don't think anybody wants him to win, honestly.
But that's because people don't realize what's at stake. I've tried to explain it in that video. If Gane wins, this opens up a super fight for John Jones versus Alex Pereira. And if Aspinall wins, the fight's going to be poo-pooed upon because everybody's going to be like, well, why is Alex Pereira fighting Jones when Aspinall's the GOAT? it's going to immediately make people think Aspinall's the best. And it's going to ruin that possibility for John Jones versus Alex Pereira. If Gane wins, Aspinall, I know it sucks for Aspinall, but Aspinall's going to be out. And nobody's going to be talking about him anymore. And it's going to only make sense for what's it called? Pereira to fight Jones. Because for Pereira to fight Gane got whooped by Jones. It lines up perfectly. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I think people should be way more excited for Gane to win. Hardcore Casual MMA says 10 to 20% chance. Tell me more why. Why do you think it's so low? I don't get that.
What's he going to do? Take him down and sub him?
No, but
he's going to put him up against the fence and hold him there and dirty box him. His only chance is a puncher's chance.
What about his leg kicks and oblique kicks? What about Tom's injured knee? I mean, I get it, but okay, with what you're saying, I get, but I still don't think it decreases to 10. What fighter has a 10 to 20% chance that's so low?
Well, I mean, you look at think of like this too. Like I think it's the odds maker to have it at 25% at -400. So
Fair.
I
Okay.
so I gave it a little less than that. But yeah, you mentioned like, oh, he has oblique kicks in this. Yeah, he does. But how often do you see fights at the highest level finished by oblique kicks?
You don't
Even
see
with
him that
compromised knees, and a lot of fighters have knee surgery that they've been battling their whole life.
right. Okay, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I mean, if he does go out and win, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Obviously, it's
right.
an MMA fight at heavyweight. I just don't think it's likely.
Oh, I hope. I'm praying to the MMA gods. I'm going to be watching this
And you got some
tomorrow.
coin too. You got some coin on it.
I got some coin. I care less about the money though. I did that because I felt that deep inside the desire to do it, and I did it. I want this fight.
It's fun too. It's fun.
It is a little fun, but like I would be just as excited. It means so much. And my real bet is with TKO stock. That's my real bet. That's my long-term bet. So I believe that this will be a rising tide that raises all ships. This will be good for the UFC, good for the heavyweight division. I know people disagree, but like it would be good because with that heavyweight champ, now it's going to open up this amazing super fight. And who knows? Maybe the winner of Alex Pereira versus John Jones will be like, all right, let me just fight Cyril Gane and then I bounce, get the heavyweight strap and dip. Anyways, so that's my 2 cents. Now, we talked about this. Justin, do you think Umar Nurmagomedov after this fight, let's say he beats Mario Batista, which I think is what the odds makers are saying. I know you want Mario Batista to win, but I just want to quickly touch on this, and then we're going to talk about the NBA scandal because this scandal is freaking crazy, dog. But what do you think? Umar Nurmagomedov, can he be as big of a star as Islam, and maybe not Khabib, but as Islam?
No, he has no personality.
Oh,
I mean, being a superstar is more than just winning fights.
I agree.
You gotta get fighters, you gotta get fans to be able to relate to you. And he's just another guy with a Russian last name, and I could care less to watch him fight.
Why do I like it? Yeah, go ahead.
I couldn't care less to watch him fight.
It's funny because like I actually don't feel that way. I actually like his personality. Okay. Are you friends with Mario Batista, by the way?
No.
Okay. I'll compare and contrast him with like to me, when I listen to Mario Batista on interviews, I'm totally uninterested. I hate to say, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying anything, but like it just doesn't get me excited. Now, Umar, you might say there's not much difference, but like to me, when Umar is being interviewed, and this is the appeal to me of a lot of these guys, it's similar with Khamzat. Of course, Khamzat though, he says the crazy stuff like I'll smash this guy. He likes to talk a little bit more smack and whatnot. So there is that element, but what draws me into most of these guys is just the honesty, just the no BS. This is who I am. This is the reality. And they're not afraid to say things. They're also not going to try and like over exaggerate things, but they're really brutal with the truth. And they're so confident and they're so good. So that to me is intriguing. And also like, I like to see Team Khabib win. So I guess maybe you represent a good amount of the fan base. Maybe he can't be as big of a star as I think, but I would like to think that he can be a big star. Plus I know you group him in with all the Dagestani fighters. He's really a striker first. So, I mean, he had a great striking battle with Corey Sandhagen. I thought I had great striking against Merab. I think he has a potential to be a star, but I just want to get your take. We can agree to disagree. No worries. We got another comment from Hardcore Casual MMA. Not going to lie, Gane survived a couple of the heaviest hitters in heavyweight. I don't think Aspinall will take him out in the first round, but he's definitely going to sleep, you think? Okay.
I'm taking the under.
I mean, Cyril Gane has never been knocked out. Wait, let me see if he's ever been knocked out. I mean, never in any of his MMA fights, he's never been knocked out. I mean, but you're right. Tom Aspinall has the power. I could see it, I guess. But I'm still rooting for Gane, and I'm just gonna choose to believe that Gane can win. I hope, man, it'd be so great. Okay, now let's get to the NBA scandal. We're gonna close out the show. The NBA scandal, I thought it made sense for us to talk about because, Justin, I know you know a thing or two about betting. You like to play poker. It seems to involve all of the above. And just to get my head around this whole situation, I listened to Michael Francesche's take on this entire scandal because I didn't know much about what was going on. I had an idea, but I didn't know much. Now I have a much better idea. So he explained exactly how the Cosa Nostra basically pulls off things like this, how they get fighters to fix games, how they can actually infiltrate the fighters. So do you know too much about this story or no?
I know a little bit about it. I do have a take on it, but
okay. So I'm just going to give the backstory first, and then I want to toss it over to you. So here's the gist of my understanding. And I have not done a crazy amount of research, but I did want to listen to Michael Franchese because he's, former mob member, and he did a lot of work in terms of fixing games and fixing matches and stuff like that as a means to generate revenue. So what he said is this: what they do is they run these illegal poker games, okay? And they were using cheating in the poker games, apparently. I think this is what I heard, that Louisa actually told me that they had x-ray machines under the table so they could basically dictate the outcomes of the poker games. Then what they do with that is these NBA players or other guys would get into financial trouble in these gambling, in these poker games. And they're like, okay. And Michael Franchese explained exactly how they do it. So they say, okay, yo, man, I owe like 500,000. Oh my God, but I don't have that much money. He's like, well, you got to pay. I'm sorry, man. You got to pay. We don't play around here. You owe that much money. You got to pay. But I promise I'm going to get paid in like a week, and I'm going to get like 200 grand, and then I can pay. All right. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I like you. Okay. I like you. So I'm going to help you out. We're going to allow this payment plan, but you got to give me 2% interest every week on the amount. That's the VIG. Plus, you got to eventually pay down the debt. And so they get them trapped in this cycle. Then they come to another poker game, lose more money. Then they're more indebted to them. So they get them into a precarious situation where they're like, yeah, man, you're not going to be able to pay this down fast enough. I'm sorry, man. We don't play like that. I'll tell you what you can do, though. If you can, at this point in the game, I want you to fake an injury, or I want you to go down to, because he said it's not about winning or losing it. It's about the point spread, which right, from gambling. So it's about just massaging that point spread just enough to where they can get to a comfortable margin where they can guarantee a win. They can bet a lot of money. Now, the other thing that they were doing is they were using something called prop bettors. Prop bettors are a bunch of people that they'd be like, okay, we can't place one big bet for $1 million on this. It's too suspicious. So we're going to get this guy to do 10,000, this guy to do 5,000, this guy to do 30,000, etc. So they would place all these bets based on these outcomes that they could roughly predict. Obviously there's going to be mistakes. You're not going to get it every time. But that's what they were doing. And they basically ensnared a number of NBA players. Chauncey Billups, a coach, included in that. Sucks because Chauncey Billups used to be a legend in Detroit. And they got them to do all this. And apparently there was like 34 indictments. Like, there's a lot of people involved in this. Now, why I wanted to talk about this in particular is because this actually links back to a major problem in sports organizations. People are out there watching the games, thinking they're legit, betting on the games now, thinking they're legit. You understand that when you fix fights today versus doing it 20, 30 years ago, it's a major problem, because you're not only affecting the spread for you, but you're affecting that spread for potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of, I don't know how many people bet on every game, but you're affecting the outcome to a mass amount of people. Who knows how that affects the liability of if you lose a bet or win a bet. Hey, but these guys fixed the game, so it's not fair. Why am I losing money? Right? I don't know how that's all going to work. This is a major problem, especially as sports betting is becoming so rampant. And the other reason why I think we need to talk about this is because, if this starts happening in the UFC at any level, and I don't even want to, I'm hoping it's not happening whatsoever, this could create a huge problem in the sport, because in the UFC is very different. You don't have a team of people, right? Your opportunity to fix a fight is so easy. It's so easy to make a little change here, a little change there, to take it from a third round submission to a decision. If you're winning, you can ease. And again, the ability of the conspiracy and the fraud to be perpetrated and successfully is substantially impacted the less people you have involved in this conspiracy. With a fighter, you could just have one person, right? Be like, hey, and only he knows what he's doing. Nobody else is going to know. The coach doesn't. Nobody's going to know. So much easier to fly under the radar. So this is a big problem that needs to be addressed, because if something like this happened in the UFC, man, I think it'd be devastating to the sport. And as you guys know, I'm such a believer in the sport and the brand and the company that I would hate to see that ever happen. So anyways, that's the story. That's the scandal. Justin, let me turn it over to you first, just because you're an NBA fan. I am not. You're an NBA fan.
I'm not.
Oh. Okay, so let me just get your thoughts on this scandal. First of all, are you surprised that the mafia was even able to infiltrate and pull something off like this at this day and age?
No, not at all, man. And no, and although the NBA is coming out right now, from my understanding, is there's involvement in the NFL, there's involvement in fighting, there's involvement all across. You look at the James Krause scandal, where he was giving picks before, and then one of his fighters automatically, hurt his knee in the first 30 seconds of the fight. Like, there's a lot more information to come out of a lot other big organizations.
The James Krause thing was a little bit different. I just want to give it the right explanation, unless you're talking about something different. But like, it wasn't that he hurt his knee in the first 30 seconds. Is that James Krause knew his fighter was injured, and in their betting group advised people to bet against his own fighter because he's like, I think he's probably going to lose. So I don't think it's as egregious. This is like a whole nother thing. This is like 10,000 times worse. Now, could other stuff like this be happening in the UFC? Maybe, but I truly hope not. And I'm going to choose to believe that it's not happening. But, anyways, I don't know. But, yeah, I could see it happening in other sports in the NFL as well. And I think the main contributing factor to this, and I'll tell you, this is my 2 cents as to how these organizations can fix this. You're going to think I'm crazy. It's with money management classes. I guarantee you these players are only susceptible to this type of thing because they're being entrapped and ensnared into gambling, into things that they shouldn't be doing, where they're wasting money. They're probably living like rock stars and not saving any money, not investing, not doing anything carefully. And so then they're vulnerable. That's what the mob does. They take advantage of people that are in vulnerable positions, and they pressure you and say, well, now you owe us a lot of money. Either you got to pay and you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do, or we're going to break your legs, or we're going to hurt you. That's their currency. So if these fighters will be more careful and these NBA players will be more careful and not get into these precarious situations, not blow all their cash and then be potentially victims of this type of pressure, none of this will be in my opinion. Because why are they doing this? They're making so much money. Why do NBA players, people talk about fighter pay, why are NBA players involved in these scandals? Obviously, they're not allocating their resources correctly and they're mismanaging their money. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm onto something?
Man, I just think a lot of these players, you don't realize, like, they come from nothing. And then imagine like Mike, and I go to Mike Tyson, who come from nothing, living on essentially the streets. And then here's $80 million. Yeah. So, but here's the other thing too. A lot of egos involved. Do you think Mike Tyson is going to a money management class or somebody like Mike Tyson? I just don't see that happening. Could I see it? What you're saying, do I think is correct? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The more knowledge you have about how to spend money and how to save money, the more like no matter what, like even for the financial situation, you're never going to go broke. You're smart with your money. You know how to invest, you know how to save, you know how to do that, but no matter how much, but guys, that don't have anything, and here's $80 million, they don't know what to do. And that's how they get caught in these situations.
Anybody can go broke. Let's just put that out there because, but yes, I do my absolute best to try and, set up myself as safely as possible. But yes, I think what would be cool too. And so you guys tell me if you agree or disagree. And I see your comments, Tehran and gentlemen, we're going to put them up in 1 second. But what I'd love to see, and I think as a long-term strategy to curtail any possibility of foul play, any possibility of shadiness going down, is maybe get all the UFC fighters on the roster underneath the management of a financial firm, where they say, all right, even if you're making 10 and 10 at the start of your journey, let's take that money. We're going to put aside $5,000 and we're going to dump it into a retirement account. We're not going to allow you to go out there and spend it. We're going to teach you what things you should stay away from, why you should do this, why you should do that. We're going to tell you right off you know what I mean? Give people more information about financial management so they don't get into these situations and they're not as vulnerable to these types of activities. That would be my 2 cents, and that's what I'd love to see. But anyways, we got a comment first from gentleman. He says, hey, respect to Justin for being here during his weight cut dedication. 100%. Absolutely mad respect to Justin. I can't believe he's fighting. How crazy is that, right? What other show do we see the fighters have a weight cut and then jump on their own pod? We don't see that. And Tehran says, do you get excited to see a Justin Gaethje interview? And I know why you're asking me that, because you're asking me about the Umar interviews and stuff like that. I absolutely get excited to see a Justin Gaethje interview. And it's the exact same formula. I love to see what he's going to say because I know he spits the truth. He does not exaggerate. He doesn't even, but like, I like it. And he's just like a cold-hearted assassin. No, he's not cold-hearted. That's not the right way to put it. But he's just like matter-of-fact assassin. We'll talk about what he's going to do, the damage he's going to inflict. You know it's real. And you know when he's asked a question, he gives an honest answer. So yes, It's basically the same reason why I like Umar, why I like Islam, why I like Khabib. They're just down the line, straight down the line. No manipulation of the answers, but that's my 2 cents. Justin, he's your favorite fighter, but do you get excited to see his interviews as well?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we're talking about the most violent man in the UFC. Down to earth guy, really nice guy, humble guy, considering what he's done in the UFC, considering what he did in the PFL. He's one of the great. I mean, anytime I see an interview, I stop and I make sure to watch.
Let's go. So, yep, there's my answer. Hope you appreciate that, Teron. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. We really appreciate it. I'm going to make a bunch of videos later today because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I'm also going to do my official pick. It's going to contrast with Justin's, of course. And look, I don't have a great reason to say why I think Gan's going to win. I'm just picking Gan because I'm picking him from the heart. I think it's better for the division, for the UFC as a whole. And it's a heavyweight fight. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, you know? I mean, and that's the beauty of the heavyweight division. So I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be crazy if Gan wins. I think if Tom wins, I mean, hey, props to Tom, but it'll just be like, oh, yeah, that's what we expected. But if Gan wins, this is going to be crazy. Just like Alex Pereira against Ankh, right? He was like a plus 280 or something. You know, it wasn't the same odds, but he was a pretty heavy underdog. He pulled it off. The MMA community went crazy. So I think we're in store for that if this happens, and we shall see. Let me know what you guys think of our show in the comments, and make sure to click that like button if you did like the show. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.